Welcome, and this is New Vision TV, and I'm Paul Busharizi, your host for today's discussion. Today I'm joined by a panel of experts in their various fields to discuss issues of security, the general security situation in our country today. On my immediate left is Mr. Emilian Kaima, the police spokesperson. Welcome to our studio. On my right is Mr. Peter Kisitu, who says a disaster management consultant. And nearest, or farthest away from myself is Mr. Tony Owana, who I describe as the man who's been there, done that, and seen it all. It's evident from his demeanor why we would give him that. But back to serious business. We want to talk about security. There's been a spate of security incidents in the last few months, going from the murder of Achirwego, the attacks on Chinese factories, and this week it was reported that the police have arrested panga-wielding serial robbers. That's what they were described as. Then there were 4 other people arrested for issuing threatening letters to businessmen and demanding protection money. The unfortunate incident in St. Bernard's Senior Secondary School in Rakai, where 11 students died in a fire. That was an arson attack on their dormitory. And as if to add gravity to the situation, the president has ordered or assigned the UPDF to guard various industrial parks around the country to contain the situation, among other things. Not to mention suggestions, of course, it's already being implemented, of CCTV cameras around the city. First of all, of course, because you're the rest of us might be masquerading as experts, but you are the recognized expert on this subject. Simple question. What is going on? What is happening?
And that's the ugly bit. Many more good things are happening. But in the news world, we discuss the bad ones with a view of finding good or explaining the ramifications therein. It's unfortunate, first of all, that we lost 10 children of St. Bernard's SS Mania. We cannot really pretend to know what the parents are going through. Very many questions, but these will also pose lessons that we can pick as a country and as stakeholders, as parents, as the school managers, as the ministries responsible for security, the police, and the Ministry of Education. And of course, school owners and managers. We must think ahead of the criminals. Today's the fires. Tomorrow it might be something else. How shall we respond to those? Are we prepared to address those? Finger pointing notwithstanding. And then the other crimes. The issue of the attacks on our industries, on the business people, again is an attack on development. Because development or growth thrives really on peace and security. And once that misses, then people are not, investment is going to dwindle. What came out in the media, which is not appropriate, seems to show that the focus on securing these industries, these factories, is for the Chinese alone. No, the Chinese are just a case in point, because they came out with one voice to the president and all of us in the security circles. And the president guided that we must, first of all, identify all the factories in our areas of operation as the police, because we are everywhere in the country, and we must protect them. All factories for all investors, national and foreign. We must ensure that there's a peaceful environment for doing business. And those who do it must be hunted, must be prosecuted in accordance with the law. But it's important to detect and deter than to investigate, because people will have lost lives, will have lost business, they will go away, and it has ramifications. We get jobs, we thrive on this, and then we can grow in the land, and each of us can grow in their own right. The murders, we went to Ruengo, what you didn't talk about, there were murders in Ruengo, and that's my district. And AIGP Hassan Kasinje led the team or from the 8th to the 11th, we were there. What did we find? There is this new trend of young people wanting to be rich without working. It's there. And all of them are getting involved into traditional healing. Fraudster. Many of them are fraudsters, hiding under or disguising themselves as traditional healers. They call themselves threatening names. Jaja Mwanga, Jaja Kosevitia. Pretty similar to some of the makeshift programs that I see in this town, where everybody is a miracle maker, a miracle worker. Now Ugandans, miracles are not going to happen to us, and they are not going to change our lives. There is the cause and the effect factor. If you don't work, how will you earn? Only if you are going to be a thief, probably, and you are going to be in bad books with the security, they are going to be running around with you, they are going to prosecute you. The risk is you may not even be able to change your thinking. As you get involved into this, you also have a child, and you are a role model to one person there. So we're asking people in Uganda, in one sub-county, my own sub-county, Chiseka, 550 shrines.
Whoa, sorry.
How many people are there?
Maybe 1,000.
So, one in every two has on the shrine.
It's terrible. LC1 chairpersons, more than half of those have shrines and trade as traditional healers. I went with people, and this is real. We want to be real so that you can think straight. I went with colleagues from Bushenyi. Bushenyi is my model district, in my view. I've gone to Bushenyi many times. I admire what they do. They work. So, these colleagues were asking, Yukaima, in this district of yours, we have walked everywhere. And we see lots of plantations, banana plantations. But we only see banana leaves.
You don't see bananas.
Do you use these banana leaves as a source of your income? So they were wondering, and rightly so, because the banana plantations are not plantations per se. They are just planted there and abandoned. So what do the youth do? What do the adults do? We are not a very serious nation really, at individual level. So we've got to think through, and when these criminals come to give us more headache, then we have to find a round table like we have arranged and talk tough, and don't be soft to ourselves if we are going to find solutions to the challenges that we are faced with. And each of us has a duty. We must play our roles, and then we shall ask what someone else is doing. Unfortunately, I see it many times amongst our people, pointing fingers at someone else except yourself. And that's where we miss it, I think. It's okay to ask for accountability. It's okay to demand that each of us who are assigned to do roles do them, but it's very important that we look deep into ourselves. What is the moral fiber putting us together? How can young children, 16, 18, well, they are suspected to have gotten involved into this, but we see it happen. Where has morality gone? Are children able to distinguish evil from good? If they do what is evil, what happens? What do we say as a community?
Now you better tighten your seat belt first. But before you take me there, you are describing my hair. And I'm proud to inform you that my hair resembles that of the MD. Now, I also want to follow up on what Comrade Kaima was saying about Bushenyi and his Ruengo. A few years ago, an army officer called Lieutenant Colonel Chibuka Mukasa in Uganda of Kabwohe. He told me, we were traveling to Rwampara. So he told me, Owana, look closely what happens when you leave Liantonde and on your way back, see what happens again. Then he went on to say, from Lyantonde to the 3 borders, you find plantations. Where there is bush, it is pasture, and there are no wild animals except in Lake Mburo. These are the words of Chibuka. Then he said, but when you come back to my kingdom, from Lyantonde you begin to see pool tables which don't close. You begin seeing edible rats. You begin seeing mice, monkeys, and people who are lousy. That was
him saying.
So I'm just following up on what is mentioning about Bushenyi as distinct from Luega. And it's not that it's distance, it is attitude. So that having been said.
So do you want to hazard why the attitude is different? Is there a historical reason for that?
I don't want to repeat the president's words that some of us are lazy. I hope I'm not repeating.
But it doesn't. But laziness is the consequence, is the effect of something, isn't it? What is happening? I mean, I was just hazarding. We might not have the answers, but why should there be, that demarcation that when you cross Lyantonde it's like this, when you come back it's like this?
I think it is attitudinal, like I'm saying. Like if you think that someone else owes you and you are waiting to be paid, you may not struggle. But when you know that you are on your own and you want others to owe you, you struggle.
You'll be different.
Yes. So it is attitudinal. I've seen it in some of my colleagues from Bunyoro who have not recovered from the colonial hangover. They still have that attitude. They took our things and they stay there. And then the Bafurochi came and found them relaxing. And you know what is happening there. Yes. So that kind of thing it is part of what is going to become a security. It's not for nothing that Kasiri Gwanga is in charge of security in Uganda, because he's also a food expert. Food as an element of security.
Yes.
It's not that he's a soldier. He also knows the value of not having enough, the dangers of not having even enough food on the overall security problem. So because they don't explain disappointments many times, it stops there.
But there's another aspect also. I would want to chip in. Sorry, the aspect of role modeling. When you go check your neighbor, the 2 homes that are near each other have some similarities. Check the leadership. Again in Bushenyi. Not that they get freebies. Who is the LC chairperson? LC1, LC3. Check. I went to the new district of Bushenyi, and at the district headquarters, they have a plantation, a 2-acre banana plantation for the district. And when you want a bunch, you go and pay, get a receipt, put it in your car, and move. That order. Why don't we see it elsewhere? That order.
That would be an interesting question. Hopefully we shall get to the bottom of it by the end of the hour or something.
I'm glad you couldn't restrain yourself for doing it, and it's important.
Absolutely.
Now to answer your question on whether we should worry, we should.
Why? Aren't these just isolated incidents, as some people want us to believe?
They may be isolated, but there are many.
So they are not isolated?
They may be isolated, but there are many. In the bad old days, when we were disturbing Obote and others, it was easy to localize the cause of insecurity. It was plainly the government. Plainly. Because you would know, like people who stay in Katwe, they would know that soldiers will come at night from Robiri barracks and they should find something. So you put some money, when they know, you open, they find it, they take it, and then they go, and tomorrow they will come.
Yeah, again.
Yes. So that it is
routine.
Yes, you know. But today, insecurity is a freelance activity. We've never had incidents where people are paying for protection, except in the old days when the army could harass you if you don't give them some money. Now today, we have small units of people who are armed. We have a tribe called Chifesi.
I thought it fizzled out after.
Yes, but it has, I think it can mutate. And these things are happening partly because of the thriving human rights industry we have in this country.
Really?
Yes, there's a thriving human rights industry in this country where the criminals, all suspected criminals, have more rights than you and me. And we must struggle to make sure they are comfortable wherever they are until the due process of the law is completed.
Are you suggesting we should be shooting on sight, or?
No, no. Because if it were to happen, I wouldn't even suggest it. I would just do it.
Okay, true.
There are certain things which will happen without discussion. As long as police is constrained by, for instance, 48 hours, and if they re-arrest one after 48 hours because they need him, and it becomes a very, very serious issue with my comrade Livingstone Sewanyana, the ordinary villagers will take some action.
And take the law into their own hands.
I don't want to use those words because, you know, they call it mob justice. Now, I would prefer to use the word popular in certain instances and attach it to the word justice. Because what is happening is we are witnessing the misrule of law. Yes, we suffered absence of rule of law. Then when the law came back, have you noticed that every bad thing has a legal basis somewhere?
Give an example.
You release a thug because it is 48 hours. Yes, the person...
Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Isn't that a safe...
President Museveni gave a lecture to Uganda Law Society in January 1987. And he was asking, why is it also not the duty of the suspect to assist the court in proving whether he is not innocent or guilty? Well, because he's a citizen of the country. Why is it that the burden of proving that he did it, he doesn't contribute to it as a good citizen? That was President
wondering at the time.
The President gave another example. He said in 87 that a villager came to his home in Rajpura and said, "Sir, a thief took my cattle," and he was caught, taken to Mbarara police station. The police, after some hours, they released him, but the cows are there. Then the peasant asked the President, "Now, are the cows the thief?" Because according to the peasant, the cows were in prison, and the person who had stolen them, these ones had released him. So the peasant was asking the President, "Are the cows now the thief?" How do you explain that to a peasant? So I think people are likely to take the law into their hands more vigorously, especially now that we have local councils. When we had resistance councils, it was very easy. They could illegally even expel someone. Illegally, but they would say, "Leave our village." Yes, illegally, but you would leave.
And the consequence would deter others.
These things, we are going to assist these people.
But going back to your thing, you made a very interesting distinction. You said in those days it was, let's say, state-inspired.
Yes.
Now we have, you can't even tell where the center of who to refer to because it's all over freelance, as you said. So, which is the more worrying situation?
No, I think you can tell who. You can even tell who. For example, we have militias of political organizations. They are there. We started with things like Youth Brigade during the days of Ajiseya, when political organizations decided to have some muscle. And you find you have Yellow Brigade, you have White Brigade, Solidar. And for the leaders, the political leaders of these organizations may not be thugs, but they don't have control over their supporters. That is one of the reasons why when Honorable Kassiano Wadri was granted bail in the case in Arua, he was ordered not to go to Arua. And the judge explained that whereas he is not dangerous, he's so popular that the love expressed for him when people see him is
might get out of hand. So if you were telling the people, what would be your, I know they're almost two separate causes, and therefore the judgment might be different. But should we be concerned, or should we be concerned and take notice and not take this as, a passing?
There is something which I am a bit fearful of saying. But the freedom which was brought by Mzee Yoweri and his colleagues, Besigye, Mukishamuntu, Kategaya, and all the others, might begin to backfire on us if it has not already done so. That's why I was telling you that almost every bad thing that happens can be supported legally somehow. There's a lady who we wouldn't ordinarily proudly associate with on account of what comes out of her mouth as words. But that lady has successfully challenged the head of state. You come to court and prove that you are unhappy. And that lady is a hero now. And she has some of the best lawyers. Okay? What does that tell you? And what does that demonstrate to the upcoming young people? That you can get away with most of those things as long as you have a lawyer. So these militias can, I've seen leaders explaining them that these are my friends. I work with them, But the law is very clear. All the laws that protect us from these things are in the books.
Yes.
I am convinced that one of the problems we are suffering is the president has always had the habit of saying, watch out, watch out, For us, in our journalism of the 80s, we knew what not to do. Today, the journalists are just trying to find out what they can't do. Because we think that the law is what the president, what annoys the president might be what is illegal. But these laws are in the books.
Yeah.
The next president of Uganda will polish the dust from these books and sort out this country. I'm telling you.
You think so?
I'm telling you.
On that note, let me come across to Mr. Peter Kisitu on this side. So, Peter, you've listened to the gentleman on the right. One, the expert, our resident expert on security by virtue of his profession. The other who's seen it, us going to hell and coming back, and his analysis of the situation. What are your thoughts on the issue, looking at it now, in the current situation as it is now?
Thank you very much. The young guys down there are wasting all their lives. They're not growing any food. They are not doing anything constructive.
But they are eating.
So that should be, for anybody looking at security, that should be the first point of concern. How are these people living? Where do they get money to spend in the bars day and night?
How come they're not starving?
There must be something they're doing. So that should be the first point of concern. And I think we should take issue with the youth leaders. These are the biggest letdowns, because they have to mobilize the youth. They are elected to be youth leaders. And what do? Maybe some of them become MPs. They spend their time here in Kampala. They have to go down and mobilize the youth, inspire them, talk to them, look for projects. And most of the projects are not out, and they're not down here in Kampala. They're not abroad. They're down there with the people. Because, as economists say, every district in Uganda must have some kind of competitive advantage. There should be something that other regions don't do. Then they come to here in Kampala, bring your goods here, and then we buy it from you. But I think the issue of the youth is just a matter of leadership. The youth leaders have to go back and start rebuilding the spirit of the community centers.
But do you leave it only to youth leaders? I mean, we drive past these pool tables and people playing at 8 a.m. in the morning. Ludo also, I've seen Ludo. I mean, I think it's all our problems. I don't know about.
Okay, we also take some responsibility for that, because, but I don't agree with this notion of taking away the freedom or the liberty. That is key. Throughout human history, the freer the society, the more successful it is.
That's a good one. Let me come back to you, Emilian. Some people, I mean, not some people, it has been said also that you, the police, just don't have the capacity to act as deterrents to these criminal activities or security threats, or to even investigate and lead to the prosecution of these people. I remember many years ago, this was probably the election of 1996, and I think, I forget who it was being asked, why do you need the soldiers to help with the election process? The guy said, listen, I have 14,000 policemen at that time and 11,000 polling stations. I can't man them myself. Is it still true, or is it something you're aware of, or you people think about in the force, that you just are undermanned, under-resourced? You're out of your depth?
Well, we are ready for the job, but like it happens to all of us, to all institutions, to all families, we would want to be better in terms of equipment, in terms of resources, in terms of numbers of personnel and machinery. We would want more to do a better
Oliver
job.
Twist.
Yes, we want more. But you see, with the catalogue of these issues dogging us, a family breakdown, is the family together, the intellectual dishonesty. Mr. Wana, my neighbor, was talking. It's election time, many youth time following these politicians who promise heaven and earth, and later they just leave them. I was talking to a telco, somebody who works with one of the telecom, and was telling me many people come here complaining that the numbers we gave them belong to someone else. And many of these are politicians. But what's the trick? After the elections, many of them discard their numbers because they are tired of receiving calls. They don't want to be seen again. So after 3 months, they sell the number to someone else. And somebody will call and say, are you so and so? And you are not. But this is the very number. Again, this is intellectual dishonesty in my view, and then wanting to eat when you do not work. My father is 87 years old. He used to tell us, the hardest day for him on earth is a Sunday, where he eats when he has not worked. But you have to even rest. And he told us that. Now when you are young and you don't work, yet you want to eat, what's going to happen? You're going to be a thief, you're going to be a criminal, you're going to either hired or on your own, you're going to be a team, you're going to be formidable. Look at children on our street. It threatens me. We call them street children. Where do they go when they grow up?
They become street parents.
Where do they go? They have not seen love, they don't care about, nobody has cared for them, so they do not care for anyone. So the police now comes in as the arbiter. And what Mr. Wana was saying, and Peter, is not really to take away the freedom. Freedom is sweet, we need the freedom. We need the rights, but we forget the responsibility. If we must champion freedoms and rights, how about responsibility? We lose cases in the courts of law. Not that people didn't commit crimes. No, they did. Not that the police is incompetent. No, we are. But look here, and I'll give a simple example. A girl is defiled. She's 15 years old. Maybe she comes from a cattle corridor. She looks
Mature.
a little bit mature in the eyes of
The defiler.
So once she's defiled, it's a criminal offense. It's the state versus the suspect, with all the rights that Mr. Wana articulated here. So when we go to court, we have to record the statement of this girl. When you go through the system of this, many of them don't want to come back because you have to come to the counter and tell the story. You go to the investigating officer, you tell the story. You have to go to court, you tell the story. It's very traumatic in a way.
Imagine.
And we need a system that assures me that I have to do this, and it's good because justice will come. Is justice fair? Do people understand justice? Many people will come and tell you, but you see, you're waving wasting time. This case is the state against this person. For you are a witness, so you begin to lose interest. When you come to court and there is adjournment, so you didn't work, you brought this girl, the media is there to capture her, and sometimes we can be responsible, so she shies away. The case dies. Because the responsibility, the burden of proof lies with the state. not with the suspect or the witness. So many cases are lost like that. Many people, when things happen in the villages, you think people don't know? People know. They will tell you, eh, the night dancer is so and so. If it is this, if somebody stole your cow, it should be so and so, and somehow they know. But then the police works on evidence-based. So you now come. You are unarmed sometimes. You go to the village, you are on your uniform. Some people will even fear to be seen to be talking to you because if somebody's child is taken by this police, and I'm going to put it on paper and sign as my statement, peace is better than this war.
Than justice.
Than justice. That's what it is. Kumbe, you know what you're doing? You are arming this criminal.
Impunity, aiding impunity.
Aiding impunity. But there's somebody to blame. It's very easy to blame the police and to associate wrong with what they didn't do right. So it's important. The resources we have in the police are not enough, but what we have is good enough to make sure that people access justice. Let's look at ourselves, at these institutions, and then the individual responsibility. Look at our roads. Why are policemen, our traffic officers, always there, suffering with people who seem not to appreciate that the order can be created by the three of us? Why? Sometimes I feel like we take the police away and people have this disorder until they learn. Or the other way, we need to be really very hard. I think very hard, like what Mr. Wana was saying. We are hard, the law bites and then teaches lessons. But in one way or the other, you have to adjust. I suffer this. I come from a district where people come to town every day, and I am a public relations officer, so people will call you. They have arrested me, but it's a small offense. Please talk to the officer. Before you accept, he has passed on
the phone.
And the officer says, who is this one? It's my uncle. Okay. So they relax. Do you know the message you are sending? So everybody has an uncle.
Absolutely.
What is good for the goose
will be good for the gander.
So we must. Are we doing this right, all of us?
That's an interesting point also to jump off from Mr. Wana. We take you back again in history. And also Kisutu alluded to it, Peter alluded to it, that, okay, freedoms are good, they should be there. But in societies where there is order, it did not happen by mistake. It took leaders at some point in their histories to say, listen guys, this is how things are going to be done. Whether what. And you talked about the leadership and the freedoms. Yeah. But many times, even for us as individuals, we assign leadership to other people. What is our role? Now, for me, the question to you, maybe you can discuss it or something, is Uganda was an organized place at some point in time, I know. My parents say, we used to be even the best civil servants, or we had the best minds, or what. But somehow all those things just disappeared. At what point, or what happens, and what perpetuated this situation? Because, and going back to leadership, we see it all the time. You talk about traffic policemen. We're there at the light, the border guy comes and passes you. And everyone is looking on as if it's a normal thing. In fact, people stop for that border. Who is being the light? What happened?
Like I said, with a lot of trepidation, the fear, the freedom which my senior colleagues in the National Resistance Movement and National Resistance Army brought has reached a point of diminishing returns. And I can say that again and again and again. Unfortunately, none of you on this panel is one of them. So I won't repeat it.
You never know.
Now, let me give you some figures from the police, just to give you a picture of what was and what is. In 1986, the Prime Minister met senior police officers in the company of the Minister of Internal Affairs, who at the time was Dr. Bawanga Simongere. And the minister updated the Prime Minister on the status of the force. He says, we have 6,000 officers, men and women, to look after 15 million people. We need 500 gazetted officers. We have 200. That is 1986. And at one time we had 400 and something vehicles. Now we have 49. In 1986, Uganda police had 49
vehicles. One per district.
For the command, for the IDP and the rest, 49. No, we didn't have 49 districts in 86.
We had 41.
Yeah, I think 38. And not all districts had vehicles. I have a friend, Louis Gongo, you know him?
Yes.
When he was in charge of intelligence in Kasese, he was cycling.
On a bicycle?
Yes, he was riding a bicycle. That is how bad it was in police. But today police has a lot of vehicles. Transport, I think, is not a serious problem anymore. Even numbers, although they still need more.
True.
Right now, the president said the police should rise to the figure of 80,000. I think the president recently said the police needs more people to reach the 80,000 mark, so that each policeman looks after, is it 500?
500, that's
Every 500 people must have a policeman. Now you are 40 million, and you have how many?
43.
So half the number. Who's here? He's looking after us.
Now, we, at one time, we had conscious discipline. I think those were our parents. Mzee Alifuso one, rest in peace. Those people had conscious discipline, especially that crop which came up during colonial times. They knew authority. Even when they were liberated from colonialism, that civil service which people praise was colonial. The colonial civil service was colonial, but at least it knew its master. There was no lack of focus. If the queen is the boss, then that's the boss. So we got freedom in 62 to become our own bosses. And then the process started. So in the course of our history, we've been liberating ourselves from each other. At one time, we got liberated from the Nubians. As if everybody in Amin's regime was a Nubian. In fact, Amin was not a Nubian even, but there was that wave. Then, a wave of criminality, a new aspect of criminality comes in, for instance, in Karamoja, where people who were just raiding cattle now secure automatic weapons. Now that sophisticates
the nature of
cattle
crime.
raiding to become something else. When we looted in 79, people got a new sense of how to acquire property. Yes, without really sweating a lot. Say, our time will come. You begin waiting
For the next coup.
and you invest your mind in it. Then in 85 it happened. Now, do you know what it means for people to go to the bush? We had at least 4 rebel groups trying to fight Dr. Bot. And they took all those years in the bush. Do you know what it means to spend 5 years in the bush?
Tell us.
I wasn't there. But you draw the scenario for yourself. That's why I just marvel at the fact that, like, the NRA, they managed to maintain that level of discipline. And how was it done?
By force.
Very simply. If you steal, yes, you will maybe 200 cans. But if you kill a civilian, you are dead.
So the consequences were clear.
So there was mechanical discipline, but there was also the conscious discipline of knowing that if we annoy these people, then they will report us to the authorities, that kind of thing. Today, fast forward, we have people who have received training and experience abroad in military matters. At one time I was told there was some people were drinking in a bar in Baraka, and the returnee from Iraq described how Makenge could be attacked from several positions because he was drunk. He described how Makenge could be penetrated, and it forced some of the officers who were attending the drinking to make some calls to discover. Now this knowledge is in possession of people who are supposed to be called civilians because they are not in the army. They are here and they are redundant. Now the level of crime is sophisticated. It's no longer the other time. Our fathers used to tell us that you could park a police vehicle called the tender. They wouldn't switch off. So the whole sub-county would know that there is a tender, and they would hunt the criminal themselves just in case these ones come. Today, every person who defeats the law is described as a ninja.
Yeah.
I will remind you of a painful incident in which we lost a woman, a hawker, who was running, and I think she was fording the sewage channel, and she fell in underground. Remember that, unfortunately. Now I ask you, and I asked many people, you are lamenting for that woman, very bad. But what if the law enforcer is the one who had drowned? What would you be saying? Then they look up, they look this way, and I could see they said we would be happy if the law enforcer had been the one to drown. Now what does that tell you?
We're lawless.
Yes, we are going to lose it. We are dealing with a crop of people who are not interested in where this country has been, and they don't even want to be told.
They don't know.
And they don't want to know, because if they know, it may prevent them. Yes.
Peter, let me come across to you, because unfortunately we are running out of time. They say prevention, what a stitch in time saves 9. There are certain things we can do, just as a society, even because laws. They told me in school that the rules are for the wrongdoers. The students who are good, they know automatically what is to be done.
Yeah.
But prevention, how can we try to secure ourselves? Even, I mean, I was just thinking, for example, just as a thing, you know, the rules are going to come that we have to enforce education standards in our schools. Yeah. And people, I think, now are kind of resolved, at least for the time being, that this is going to happen. One of the things is there should be no burglar proofing. But then the owners will say, but if there's no burglar proofing, how will we secure the people inside? Do you have any thoughts on how we can secure ourselves while at the same time, you know?
I belong to the school of thought which says there should be no burglar proofing, because the most important job of a school head, of a manager like yourself right here, first and foremost, keep your staff alive, out of danger. That's number one. Everything else is
secondary.
They will not learn if they're hurt or if they're dead. They're only good alive. So that is the first thing. We have right now roller shutters that can just be on the press of a button, the window unfolds, goes up. And they're made right here in Katwe and in Deva. They don't have to be imported. It's very...
Oh, so you'd roll down the shutters like at the end of the day?
Yes.
When we're not using...
When we're not using them. But in case of an emergency, you press a button as you switch on the light, as if you're switching on a light, and then it will roll up very fast. And then we have some, you have seen some modern doors, like garage doors, which just opens and goes to the top of the ceiling. You have seen those?
Yes, yes.
That could be another thing. So, even for homes, it's horrible having all this kind of burglar proofing everywhere. You're in a death trap. Anything can happen anytime. And then you're stuck with all these metals around you. So I think we need to just say the time for burglar proofing is over. It's over. And then for the other thing you're saying, like for prevention, what we need to do is mindset change. Let me tell you something, Paul. And I want all the listeners and the viewers to hear this. The Industrial Revolution of the 18th century would have never happened if there was no mindset change. At the time, a person got respect by either being a soldier or a priest. Everybody else was a crook. If you are somebody selling pens to make a profit, society looked at you as somebody who is exploiting society for making a profit. But from the time, or if you invented something and you took money and made a profit, they looked at you negatively. But from the time they started appreciating the work of a middleman, the work of an inventor, these people got encouraged because they were appreciated and looked at positively by society. The result today is the Industrial Revolution happened. People started manufacturing, inventors were, they were respected, they were invited to sit at high tables, they were given a front seat in the church. So that is what we need today.
A mindset change.
A mindset change. To, like what he says, if you defeat the law and you're a ninja, that is wrong. So what you need now is radio programs. And I always tell people, like when we talk like informally, KCCA cannot defeat hawkers, borders, by just using force. You need an education policy. We have now more than 200 radio stations in the country. Buy time and educate the people. Talk to me, because I am the one who is going to buy off this food they are carrying on the street.
Yeah.
Tell me, if you buy that food, you can get cholera. If you buy that food, this will happen. And then when you educate us, because we're the ones keeping them on the street.
Yeah, sustaining them.
Yes, so you have to change my mind to stop buying this food, to stop buying the things. If you tell me you can buy a watch, it could be stolen. If you buy a stolen phone, Mr. Kaima will get you, and you can do 6 months in prison, and then you end up paying for the phone that you never stole. So all these kind of things. Education programs will help us more than using force. I think the police knows that is doing that already. Educate the people. There's that program they say it is called community policing. But there is another one on Bukede now, only steady. You understand? Only clear. You know it. The one is only clear. In the another one get to be clear. That's like stay out of the of crime, stay out of crime. So something like that. We need to do more of this.
Then trying to be. I shall leave the last word for you, Mr.
We need these conversations, and we need to be very honest about them. The mindset that he talks about, maybe the listeners, the viewers, will not even appreciate this. For me, good example. If you do something good, somebody else learns, and then they change. When you go out of this country, you don't find people. You find houses structured differently from what I see here. You drive home at 8, park your vehicle in your very house, and then you begin now to take in the emissions, and you don't know, and you're going to spend more money in hospitals, wasting this money, and dying slowly.
Hey, you mean we park in the garage and then we take in emissions?
In other countries, I don't see garages. I don't see them. You park it out. Here, if you park it out, they will even warn you. They will steal it. So why? Burglar proofing. Because everybody thinks his neighbor is a thief, and so the neighbor also will become a better thief. So what
good neighbor is the dead one.
And that's very dangerous. Look at how we put perimeter walls. The wrong way. The perimeter wall, the fence must be at least 3 meters. Because your neighbor should be able to see what is happening at yours. But here, it's a garrison. Enforcement is not there. We don't do that. Now, that garrison is a death trap for you. That burglar proofing is a death trap for you. That school with so many people, that hospital with so many people, that arcade with so many people, without this infrastructure put in place, is a death trap for you. Sometimes I wonder what will happen when some of these structures begin to crumble, and everybody will look at the police. But where was the police? First of all, we need to ask these questions. But as the police, what we've chosen to do is to come out to the people. We really come out to the people. We have a conversation with them. We take them through what they need to do at individual, at a family, at a community level to increase their security and the safety. to share these issues with us so we can possibly interest them in seeing what we don't see. And again, these laws we enforce, they look alien. When you talk to people fairly, a fair number of our communities don't fully appreciate what we do. We arrested someone, we brought him to you, he's the thief. Now what else do you want? Even a police dog followed and went to his house. What else do you want with us? You just take him to court. Hey, we want more things. We want your statement, we want these fingerprints, we want witnesses, we want these exhibits, and they will not provide. Now, when they don't provide and it develops a crack, the magistrate, the judicial officer will throw it out. What's the answer? How do they analyze?
The police let them go.
No, they ate money. They even know the amount of money. And many times when we sit with the communities, everybody seems to say, they ate money, they ate money.
Can I ask a question?
So you ask. Yes.
Can I? Mr. Kaima, your ministry is part of the problem. Recently, the Minister of Finance said in Parliament that you deal with 100,000 cases in CID per year, and that each case is allotted 6 million shillings. Okay? I'm telling you, I have moved around your police units. I have never seen a detective who has ever held 60,000 shillings to investigate a case. So what are you doing to your boys and girls down there? They hear that each case has 6 million shillings on it, and they don't see a tenth of that 6 million when they are even begging the complainants to give them transport to the scene of crime. How do you plead?
Not guilty. and of course that's part of the problem here. Information. Sometimes we talk recklessly, even when we are in positions of authority, and authority is power backed by law. Some people talk recklessly, politically, and they confirm things. I've seen many people who ordinarily should be experts in their field talking in terms politically, you talk politically right, and that's where the problem lies. So each of us, in our view, has a duty. So the interaction we have with the members of the public, one, strengthens accountability. Not that we are angels, really, we are not angels, but how do we clean the mess, and how do you play that positive role without giving it away? Part of what we have also invented is, and the president keeps complaining, he asks, if there is a problem in my village and I want to call the police, whom do I call? We usually tell him, you can call the DPC, you can call the OC, you can call, but the DPC could have moved somewhere. Maybe it's in the studio here, with the one and then his phone is off. So the president insists, and we have moved that step. Let there be counter phones at the counter where we enter cases. Let the phone be there. Let it be known by residents. And when they call, let it be picked. Talk to this person well, so they have the energy to give you the information. Don't interrogate them, don't make it hard for them. And we've moved that direction, and we encourage people to visit. Before it became too busy, part of the program I was doing, school program, I would bring thousands of students to the police, visit the police, and they see how a case is entered, they go to the cells, and I would sit down to now analyze how many people are producing in cells, what age group, male and female, what are the numbers, and you talk to them, what did they tell you? And you know, what cases have they allegedly committed? Petty cases. How can we prevent now? You saw the kind of categories that you saw in the cell. You know, we'll discuss this and we'll move. And my colleagues in the shoes where I was still do this. We can do better when we choose. Take responsibility. Let's take responsibility. But I want to end on a note of parents, with parents. Whoever has children, be their role model, be their best example. If you want to know who your children are, listen to them. Watch them, they act you. If a border passes by your vehicle and they abuse the border, just know it's you.
It's come from
they're
you.
reflecting you. And that's how they are going to grow, with the responsibility, with the, the urge to take the law into their hands, because they think the system will not answer the call of duty at that time when it's needed. But we can. Really, Uganda is still a beautiful country. You can move from Chitigum to Chisoro without stop and nothing will happen. You can walk from Kampala to Nansana and nothing will happen to you. When it happens here and there, it's very bad. We can deter this by each of us taking proactive steps.
Emilian Kaima, the spokesperson of the police, Peter Kisito, a disaster management man, and one other man who's seen it, done it, and been there all along. I've been Paul Busharizi, your host. I've been hosting a program on the security panel, on the security panel discussion on security in this country. I think for me also, maybe my parting word is that the fact that all these security challenges actually are news means that they are not as regular as it's not common. It's not a common incident. So there is hope. We are not perfect, as Mr. Kaima said, but hopefully, together we can get to a better place. So with that, viewers, we'll see you next time.